If you're constantly being kind to everyone, yet you feel exhausted, overlooked, and unappreciated, this message is for you. Because the truth is, your kindness is not always a gift. Sometimes it's a disguise, a mask you wear to avoid conflict, to feel needed, to earn love. But what if I told you that being kind to the wrong people is the very reason you feel so drained? It's time to stop performing kindness and start protecting your peace. Kindness is a beautiful trait. It shows emotional intelligence, empathy, and strength. But there's a dangerous line we often cross when we believe that being kind to everyone will somehow protect us from pain. It won't. Some people see kindness as a weakness, not a virtue. They see your compassion as a green light to exploit you. And the more you keep giving without discrimination, the more you're teaching others that you don't value yourself enough to be selective. This isn't about being rude or cold. It's about being conscious of where your energy goes. Not everyone deserves the best parts of you, and pretending otherwise is a recipe for burnout and resentment. You've been conditioned to think that being liked is a sign of success, that if people see you as sweet, giving, and accommodating, they'll keep you around. But here's the truth. They'll keep you around as long as it benefits them. The moment your kindness stops serving their selfish needs, they disappear. You're not being appreciated, you're being used. And deep down, you can feel it. You feel tired, stretched thin, maybe even invisible. That your soul whispering, you're giving too much to the wrong people. And if you ignore it, that whisper turns into exhaustion, anxiety, and eventually emotional collapse. There's a difference between being kind and being available. One comes from strength, the other from fear. If you're constantly being kind to avoid rejection, you're not being generous. You're being afraid. Afraid of being alone. Afraid of someone being upset with you. Afraid of seeming selfish. But you know what's actually selfish? Pouring your energy into people who would never do the same for you. It's not noble. It's self-abandonment dressed up as virtue. Your fear of being disliked is teaching others how to treat you as a doormat. You're not here to be walked on. You're here to walk with people who respect the ground you stand on. Every time you say yes to someone who drains you, you're saying no to the part of you that's begging for peace. Your inner world suffers. Your focus, your joy, your creativity, it all diminishes because you're busy performing a version of yourself that isn't real. You smile when you don't want to. You agree when you disagree. You stay when everything in your body is telling you to leave. That's not kindness. That's fear pretending to be kindness. And the longer you wear that mask, the harder it becomes to find yourself underneath it. You're not here to be who everyone else wants. You're here to be who you really are. It's time to realize your kindness is a currency. You don't hand out $100 bills to strangers who never say thank you. So why hand out your energy, your time, your compassion to people who don't reciprocate? You are not limitless. Your kindness has a cost. And when you give it freely to people who haven't earned it, you devalue it. You make it cheap. Exclusive things are valued more. Your kindness should be rare, intentional, and protected. Not everyone deserves it. Let that sink in. Kindness is sacred. Don't turn it into a bargain sale for attention. If you've been hurt by people you were kind to, it doesn't mean you were wrong to be kind. It means you were kind to the wrong people. There's a massive difference. You didn't fail by showing compassion. You failed by thinking everyone was worthy of your compassion. Some people saw your kindness as a weakness to exploit, not a gift to treasure. That's on them. But if you keep repeating that mistake, that's on you. You have to stop playing the same role in the same story and expecting a different ending. Protect your light, or you'll wake up one day with nothing left to give, even to the ones who truly deserve it. When someone repeatedly crosses your boundaries and you continue to be kind, you're not being mature, you're being permissive. You're showing them there are no consequences for mistreating you. And people learn quickly. They learn how much disrespect they can get away with. The more you tolerate, the more they take. And you think you're being kind, but you're just slowly disappearing. Your needs get buried. Your standards drop. Your identity starts revolving around who they need you to be. That's not love. That's survival mode. And you were meant for more than survival. You were meant to thrive. Start asking yourself a hard question. Am I being kind or am I being afraid? That one question can change your life. Because when your kindness comes from confidence, it uplifts others and nourishes you. But when it comes from fear, it drains you and enables others. Fear-based kindness creates cycles where you keep attracting people who don't value you, and the more they don't value you, the more you try to prove your worth by being even kinder. It's a vicious loop. Break it. You don't need to prove your worth through service. You prove your worth by honoring your boundaries. You don't have to be mean to protect yourself, but you do have to be clear. Clear about what you will tolerate. Clear about who gets access to you. Clear about when your kindness is genuine and when it's just a mask for insecurity. This is the kind of clarity that builds respect. And respect is far more powerful than being liked. Being liked fades. Respect lasts. When people respect you, they value your presence. They treat you better, not because you're constantly giving, but because you know when to say no. That's real strength. That's power. And that's the foundation of genuine kindness. You may think being kind to everyone keeps you safe, but in reality, it exposes you. It exposes your soft heart to those who don't know how to handle it. And it teaches you to neglect your own needs for the comfort of others. That's not peace. That's people pleasing. And people pleasing always ends in pain because the ones you're trying to please never truly see you. They only see what you're doing for them. Stop hiding behind kindness. It's time to lead with strength. A strength that says, I choose where my kindness goes. That's the beginning of emotional freedom and real self-respect. People will always treat you according to what you allow. That's not harsh, it's human nature. When you consistently show up with kindness but never with boundaries, people assume you're okay with being taken for granted. It's not always intentional. Sometimes they don't even realize they're doing it because you've trained them to think you'll always say yes. You've made it easy for them to overlook your needs. They don't have to wonder if you're okay because you've never made it clear when you're not. You think kindness will earn their care. But kindness without standards invites mistreatment. Respect is not given freely. It's earned through clarity. You may believe that being agreeable makes you lovable. But the truth is, being overly agreeable makes you forgettable. People don't fall in love with someone who says yes to everything. They fall in love with someone who has substance. Substance is built on depth, confidence, and clear values. When you never push back, when you never say no, when you never assert your truth, you disappear into the background. You become convenient instead of compelling. And being convenient is the fastest route to being unappreciated. Stand up, speak up, teach people how to love you through your standards, not just your softness. Every time you ignore your discomfort just to keep someone happy, you're paying the price of peace. But here's the problem. Peace built on suppression always crumbles. You say yes when you want to say no. You smile when your heart feels heavy. You agree to plans, favors, conversations, and relationships that drain you. That's not kindness. That's survival. And people around you learn they can keep asking, keep expecting, keep taking, because you've never taught them anything different. You've trained them to that relationship. Believe your needs don't matter, not because you said so, but because you never said otherwise. The most powerful relationships are built on mutual respect, not one-sided kindness. And that respect starts when you communicate your limits. If you don't teach people where the line is, don't be surprised when they keep crossing it. They aren't mind readers. They respond to what you permit. So, if you're constantly trying to avoid conflict, you're creating a deeper conflict within yourself. That inner war is far more damaging than any external argument. Because when you betray yourself long enough, you forget what your truth even sounds like. Don't lose your voice just to keep someone close. Speak, even if it shakes. You might worry that saying no will make people think less of you, but the people who truly value you won't flinch when you set a boundary. They won't walk away because you chose self-respect. Only those who benefited from your silence will resist your strength. Let them go. Let them be uncomfortable. Your job isn't to make everyone happy. It's to make yourself whole. You weren't born to be everyone's emotional cushion. You were born to live authentically. And authenticity requires courage. Courage to disappoint some so you can stay true to yourself. That's not selfish, it's necessary. Some people only stay in your life because you make it easy for them. You make it easy by never challenging bad behavior, by always being available, by never asking for more. They get all the benefits with none of the accountability. And the moment you change and when you begin to expect more, they suddenly have a problem. They say you've changed. They say you're difficult now, but that's not true. You've just raised your standards. You've stopped training them to disrespect you. And if your growth offends them, it's only because your boundaries threaten their comfort. You are not a product of what people have done to you. You're a product of what you allow to continue. Yes, some people will push, manipulate, and take. But once you recognize that, the power is back in your hands. You get to choose how to respond. Do you keep giving and hoping they'll finally appreciate it? Or do you reclaim your power and decide enough is enough? Change doesn't come from waiting for others to be better. It comes from becoming someone who no longer entertains what isn't aligned. You get what you settle for. Raise your price. Teach people you're not cheap. Kindness is not about shrinking yourself to make others feel big. Real kindness empowers both you and the other person. It's rooted in truth, not in fear. But when you teach people that their comfort matters more than your truth, you lose yourself. And they never learn how to meet you where you are. Relationships built on lopsided kindness aren't healthy. They're imbalanced power dynamics. You keep giving, they keep expecting. You stay quiet, they stay dominant. That's not a connection. It's control disguised as companionship. Love doesn't ask you to disappear. It asks you to be fully seen, flaws and boundaries included. There's an illusion that being easygoing makes relationships smoother. But ease without boundaries leads to silent suffering. You don't argue, but you hurt. You don't speak, but you resent. You don't demand, but you ache. That internal cost builds up, and one day it spills over. You snap, withdraw, or walk away entirely, and they never saw it coming because you never taught them you had a limit. You've been trying to keep the peace by sacrificing your needs. That's not peace. It's prolonged self-abandonment. True connection can handle discomfort. Speak your needs early before silence becomes your rebellion. When you start teaching people how to treat you, it can feel lonely. That's because the takers will fall away. But that's a good thing. The people who remain, the ones who adjust, respect, and reciprocate, those are your people, the ones worth keeping. You don't need everyone, you need aligned ones. Ones who don't just enjoy your kindness, but earn it. You've given too much for too long out of fear. Now it's time to give from self-respect. Let your boundaries be your filter. Because what you allow is what you attract. Train others not just to like you, but to honor you. Kindness becomes toxic when it turns into self-sacrifice. The moment your kindness starts costing your peace, your energy, or your self-worth, it's no longer kindness. It's self-betrayal. We've romanticized being the one who never gives up on people, who always stays kind no matter how they're treated. But that mindset can destroy you. You become the emotional caretaker for people who wouldn't lift a finger if the roles were reversed. You say, that's just who I am, but you forget who. Who you are should never depend on how much pain you can tolerate. You are not a savior. You're not here to fix everyone. You're allowed to walk away from those who drain you, no explanation needed. Too many people mistake emotional availability for emotional responsibility. You can be present for someone's pain without making it your job to heal it. But when you've been too kind for too long, you start blurring those lines. You think if you just love someone harder, they'll finally love you the right way. You think if you stay patient, understanding, and supportive, they'll see your worth. But often they don't, because your effort becomes their expectation. Now you're stuck trying to earn the very thing you deserve freely. Respect. That's not love. That's labor. And love should never feel like a one-sided job description. Being too kind often comes from a deep wound, the fear of being abandoned. So we overcompensate. We think, if I'm good enough, generous enough, selfless enough, they won't leave. But this turns relationships into emotional transactions. You give and give, hoping it'll be enough to make someone stay. And the moment they don't return the same energy, you feel shattered. But the truth is, you trained them for that imbalance. You taught them that you're okay being the one who always shows up, even when they don't. That doesn't come from strength. It comes from a survival instinct that says, if I'm needed, I'll be loved. The danger in always being kind is that you forget how to discern who deserves it. Not everyone should have a front row seat in your life. But when you lead with unfiltered kindness, you invite everyone in without question. Some will respect the access, others will abuse it. And before you know it, your inner world becomes chaotic, crowded with people who are never meant to be there. You spend all your energy managing others' emotions while yours go unnoticed. You become emotionally bankrupt trying to be emotionally generous. That's not noble. That's reckless. You need to be as discerning with your heart as you are with your time. People admire confidence, not compliance. When you're too nice to everyone, you become predictable, safe, easy. And while that may sound admirable, it often leads to being overlooked. Because what people remember is contrast, not comfort. They remember someone who knows who they are, what they want, and what they will not tolerate. Constant kindness becomes white noise. It blends into the background of their lives. But the person who can say no with love, who can walk away with grace, who can disagree without guilt, that person commands presence. Stop trying to be liked by all. Start being respected by those who matter. There's a reason we're drawn to people with standards. They feel grounded, unshakable. And that kind of presence isn't built by being endlessly agreeable. It's built by being emotionally self-assured. When you have standards, your kindness has more impact because it's not automatic. It's intentional. People know you don't hand it out to everyone. They earn it. And because they earn it, they value it. That's what makes your energy magnetic. Not how much you give, but how much you choose who gets what. You're not more lovable because you say yes, You're more lovable because your yes actually means something. Sometimes we use kindness as a strategy to avoid confrontation. We think, if I'm nice enough, I won't have to deal with conflict. But that's not real peace. That's delay. What you avoid doesn't go away. It festers. Resentment builds. Anger simmers beneath the surface. And eventually it erupts in ways you didn't expect. Withdrawal, passive aggression, sudden outbursts. The person who once smiled through everything becomes someone who can't even recognize themselves, because kindness used as a shield turns into silence. And silence is where relationships go to die. Speak up, even if your voice trembles, even if it means risking the relationship. If people only like you when you're kind, then they don't like you. They like what you do for them. That's a hard pill to swallow, but it's also the truth that sets you free. You shouldn't have to perform kindness to earn connection. You should be able to be honest, raw, even firm, and still be valued. The right people won't run from your edges. They'll respect them. They'll meet you with accountability. And if someone leaves because you stopped overextending yourself, they were never there for you in the first place. They were there for your convenience. Let them go. Make space for real. You have to start protecting your kindness like it's gold, because it is. Stop handing it out like a clearance item to anyone who walks through the door. Stop thinking that being kind is the same as being good. Goodness is deeper. Goodness includes truth, boundaries, courage. Kindness without those things is just politeness. And politeness won't protect your peace. What will protect you is discernment. The ability to step back and ask, is this relationship, this pattern, this exchange healthy, or am I just afraid to upset someone? Ask yourself that every time you feel the urge to give when you're already empty. At some point, you have to realize that being kind to everyone isn't kindness, it's fear. Fear of being disliked, fear of being alone, fear of being called selfish. But selfish isn't saying no. Selfish is expecting someone to betray themselves so you can stay comfortable. So when you begin to say no, to step back, to withdraw your kindness from the undeserving, you're not becoming cold, you're becoming conscious. You're waking up to your worth. You're finally realizing that not everyone deserves a seat at your table. And the more you honor that truth, the more peace, love, and respect you'll attract. You don't need to be cold to be strong. You don't have to be ruthless to command respect. But you do need to be clear. Kindness, when not balanced with clarity, leads to confusion, not just for others, but for you. People start to assume they can get away with things because you never call them out. They push your limits because you never reinforce them. They think silence means consent, but clarity cuts through the noise. When you show up with confidence in what you stand for, you stop tolerating the wrong things. That's when kindness starts to mean something, because it's no longer fear-based, it's choice-based. We confuse being liked with being respected, and that confusion costs us more than we realize. You're not here to be everyone's favorite. You're here to be real. And real people aren't always liked, because real people set boundaries, express needs, and make decisions that sometimes make others uncomfortable, but that discomfort is where growth lives. If you spend your life trying to be the one no one ever disagrees with, you'll become invisible. You'll shrink so small just to stay accepted that you forget who you were before everyone's approval mattered. Respect isn't born from comfort, it's born from courage. Confidence isn't loud, it's not arrogant or aggressive. Confidence is quiet certainty. It's knowing you don't have to please everyone to hold value. It's standing tall in your truth, even if it makes some people walk away. You don't explain your standards, you embody them, and people either rise to meet them or quietly exit. That's the power of self-assured kindness. You don't need to justify it. You don't need to soften it for fragile egos. You don't have to dim it to make others feel more comfortable. You lead with warmth, but you don't chase. That's what makes your presence feel safe and respected. We teach others how to treat us through our consistency. If you constantly overextend, you'll attract those who underdeliver. If you always say yes, you'll attract those who never consider your no. If you silence your needs, you'll attract people who don't bother to ask. But the moment you start showing up differently, everything changes. You stop being an emotional crutch. You stop being a yes person. You stop being the one they call only when it's convenient. And while that shift might scare you at first, it's where you reclaim your power. You stop chasing peace externally and start building it internally. You don't have to be unkind to be unavailable. That's the shift. You can protect your time, your energy, and your emotional space without burning bridges. You don't owe anyone endless access just because you were once close. People change, seasons change, your capacity changes, and so does your circle. Let go of the guilt that says you must always be everything for everyone. That guilt is not your guide, it's your trap. You can still be loving and unavailable, still be generous and discerning, still be kind and inaccessible to toxicity. That's not contradiction, that's wisdom. There is strength in being misunderstood. When you stop over-explaining yourself, you free yourself. Not everyone needs to understand your choices. Not everyone is owed a breakdown of your boundaries. Sometimes no is enough. Sometimes I'm not available for that is the entire sentence. And if they try to guilt you, manipulate you, or question your values, it's not because your boundary is wrong, it's because it disrupted their comfort. But you weren't born to make others comfortable. You were born to be whole. And being whole sometimes requires disappointing people who benefited from your brokenness. Kindness, when authentic, doesn't fear confrontation, doesn't shy away from truth. Real kindness isn't just soft, it's strong. It doesn't avoid hard conversations. It doesn't keep peace by suppressing pain. It steps into discomfort, knowing that honesty is an act of love. You don't help people grow by hiding how you feel. You don't build trust by pretending you're okay when you're not. The people who truly care will listen, adjust, and meet you where you are. The rest will resent your honesty, and that's your cue. Your kindness is still intact, even when your tone is firm and your truth is loud. There's a false narrative that kindness means being accessible at all times, that to be good-hearted is to be endlessly available. But that's not kindness, that's conditioning. Somewhere along the way, you were taught that your value lives in how much you do for others. That if you say no, you're being selfish. That if you pull back, you're letting people down. But let me tell you something. There is no kindness in burnout. There is no love in self-abandonment. The most powerful kindness you can give the world is the version of you that's fully alive, not perpetually drained. Stop proving your worth through self-sacrifice. You don't need to bleed emotionally to show you care. You don't need to carry the emotional weight of people who refuse to carry their own. The most loving thing you can sometimes say is, "I'm not available for this right now." That doesn't make you unkind. It makes you human. And the people who can't handle your humanness were only ever in love with your usefulness. That's not love, that's convenience. Let go of the pressure to perform kindness. Start living it from a place of balance, not burden. Your clarity will cost you comfort, but it will buy you peace. And peace is the foundation of every healthy relationship. When people know your limits, they can learn to love you properly. They know where they stand. They know what's expected. They know what you need to feel safe, respected, and seen. That's the environment where love thrives. Not in confusion, not in assumption, not in